Hello everybody, I'm Mr. Max from GrowingGreat, and thank you so much for joining me once again in my kitchen today. I hope everyone is having an absolutely terrific day, and even if you're not, I think this will definitely help because we're going to be making our very own terrariums. And I know that's a pretty big word, but terrariums are really just little simulated environments that we create inside of glass containers, like our mason jars we have here, that kind of do the job to simulate an ecosystem that a plant needs to survive. What I have here is a very small example of a terrarium, and they can go from anywhere like this or even smaller to being sized big enough to hold even little towns like they have in various states in our own country. Because what is also cool about this is that scientists believe that some of the very similar techniques used in creating a successful terrarium can someday be used to help us even live on other planets. Whew, crazy to think of, but we'll keep it a little bit more simple today. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm absolutely dying to get started. But before we go into all of our materials, let me just add a quick few notes about a couple of them that we're going to need, since they're kind of atypical materials we aren't usually having on hand. So, in addition to our soil, we are going to need some gravel or pebbles that we can put at the bottom layer of our terrariums today. And what they're going to do is help prevent kind of pooling of water and just helps with the overall drainage of our containers, since they're not going to have holes at the bottom of our glass jars, right? And also, we are going to need some activated charcoal, which is a little harder to find, but you can find them typically at any kind of pet store because they're commonly used in fish tanks or aquariums. So what the charcoal is going to do is help prevent the growth of harmful bacteria and the growth of moss that is really unwanted when we're creating our kind of terrariums, because we want them to be beautiful and we only want to grow what we are planting. And so basically the charcoal is going to help keep it clean. So I'm going to be using this 24-ounce mason jar today because I want to make sure that it's big enough for you guys to see and we can put enough of our seeds in there. But because we're going to be following the instructions on our seed package, which means we want to be able to give our seeds a little bit of space so they can grow and not get too overly crowded, we want to make sure that we're using nothing really smaller than at least a 12-ounce, because this little 6-ouncer, while cute, wouldn't be able to accommodate more than maybe a couple of seeds at most. But if that's all the size of your terrarium that you're going for, feel free to do so. You just really want to focus on having enough space for our seeds to thrive. Now let's choose what we're going to be planting today. So I have a few choices here. Let's see, we have some watercress, we have some melons, we also have some spinach and some lettuce. So, while I absolutely love melons, I don't think this is going to be big enough to grow one. Do you? Nah. So we'll eliminate that one, and we'll save the watercress for another time. So today, I'm going to be planting some spinach and some lettuce. So now, with the help of our gravel, our charcoal, and our potting soil, let's go ahead and take our ruler and start layering in our materials. All right, so now let's get to putting in our layers. So we're gonna start with the gravel, and I'm gonna use this ruler so that we have just about 2 inches. All right, yeah, based on the size of what I have available, I'm gonna go with about 1.5 for this one, and then you're gonna want about half of that to be our charcoal. So after that, we'll add about 3/4 of an inch. All right, perfect. And now the rest, we will add about 2.5 to 3 inches of our soil. Wow. You know what? I actually think we did pretty good on our first try. So that is about the breakdown that you want. You want to have the least of the charcoal, about twice that much for the gravel, and then almost twice as much as the gravel for our soil, so that we still have plenty of breathing room up top, but our seeds have plenty of soil to grow their roots in still. All right, so now we got our perfectly filled terrariums, and let's go ahead and mark where we're gonna place our seeds. Now, I chose to use a chopstick because it's thinner than a finger, but a little thicker than a toothpick, and I think this is gonna work out just perfectly. So we're gonna put one hole, about 1/2 inch apart, 2 holes, and third hole about there. On the left side, let's do the same. 1, 2, and 3. Now you want to make sure that you're hitting just above the gravel. We don't want to hit the solid. We don't want it to be that far down. So let's go ahead on the left side and place our spinach seeds. Just guide it into the hole. Nice. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing for our lettuce seeds. Bullseye. First one in. Bucket again. Let's get a second one. And lastly, 3 for 3. All right, so our seeds are nice and planted. Just like that, we have our seeds nice and planted in our terrariums. Now, another thing I wanted to mention was that just like we need to watch what goes into our bodies, and we function better when we have better health and nutrients provided for us, it's very important to choose a good soil, because a lot of the ones that you can buy are sometimes really dry or wood chippy, and they don't have a lot of the nutrients that our plants need to grow. And for a lot of the greens that we are trying to grow today, they have a nice hue of green, as you all noticed, right? And that is from the chlorophyll that they get and from the sunlight they receive. So the darker green they are, the more chlorophyll they have within them and the higher nutritional value they have. So things like spinach and lettuce are very good for us. So this is a really cool thing for us to plant. But we are going to want to be careful and make sure that we water them every day. And that is where our squirt bottle comes in. So we can just make sure we get it nice and moist in that darker shade of brown, as we can tell, versus the rest of it. And we'll just kind of give it some time to let it kind of seep through the soil. And like we mentioned earlier, we have our stones at the bottom to prevent any kind of pooling, so we're good there. So I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, but one example of what it could soon become is this. Pretty cool, right? There were some really creative ideas out there. And just to give you another example also of something I've done personally, is I grew some green onions just a couple weeks ago, and look at how long and well these have been growing. So you see, I did it with the same kind of structure and the same jar also, just with a different couple of seeds that I chose to grow. So yeah, our green onion is coming along really nice. It's got that nice smell too, that's really indicative of onions. And lastly, I also choose to grow some bok choy. So we can see really closely how the roots have all grown. They got really healthy stems and the roots have all grown down into our gravel through our dirt. And it's staying nice and moist because I've remembered to water them constantly every day. And look at that. Almost looks like it's ready to be transplanted. It's kind of outgrow this container, don't you think? Well, that's about a wrap for our activity today. Gotta give a big shout out to Del Monte for sponsoring Growing Great's Veggies and Fruits program. And if you're interested in any other fun activities that could be available in your area, please feel free to email us right here at Megan@growinggreat.org, and she would love to hook you up. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I really hope that your terrariums turn out terrific. And from myself and Growing Great, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.